The top stories tonight in Y News. The Philippines is temporarily banning all flights from the United Kingdom starting December 24. Travelers arriving in the country before the travel ban will have to undergo a 14-day quarantine procedure. The number of people in the country killed by the coronavirus disease has now breached 9,000. The Department of Justice is ready to place witnesses of the Tarlac shooting under its witness protection program.
The Social Security system will not defer implementation of contribution hike next year. COVID-19 is now on every continent as Antarctica reports its first case. And giant iceberg menacing South Georgia Island breaks up into smaller pieces.
Good evening, Philippines and the world. Today is Wednesday, December 23, 2020. Join us in the next hour as we deliver today's top stories around the country and in other parts of the world. I am Angelo Castro III.
We are also seen in 1,935 satellite monitoring centers nationwide and via live streaming worldwide through the UNTV News and Rescue social media accounts and our website untvweb.com. I am William Theo.
First in the news. The Philippines joined the list of nations that have imposed restrictions on the United Kingdom amid mounting concerns over a new and seemingly more contagious strain of coronavirus. Rosalie Cos will tell us why.
President Rodrigo Duterte has approved the temporary suspension of all flights from the United Kingdom starting December 24, Thursday, 12:01 a.m. until December 31, 2020. All passengers who have been in the UK in the last 14 days immediately preceding arrival to the Philippines, including those in transit, are temporarily restricted from entering the country for the said period. This as the European nation battles a new strain of coronavirus known as B.1.1.7.
Covered ng temporary restriction ang lahat ng mga pasahero na nasa UK ng 14 na araw bago dumating ng Pilipinas. Kasama na rin dito ang mga pasaherong nasa transit.
Meanwhile, all passengers already in transit from the UK and all those who have been to the UK within 14 days immediately preceding arrival to the Philippines who arrived before December 24 shall not be subject to entry restriction but would be required to undergo stricter quarantine and testing protocols. For those from the Philippines traveling to UK, passengers will be subject to existing exit protocols.
Sa mga pupunta ng UK galing Pilipinas, dadaan sila sa existing exit protocols ng Pilipinas at ng UK.
The Octa research team welcomes the development as the group wants stricter border controls.
To curb the transmission or to control the transmission, we must also be vigilant and be aware of our mobility.
The Philippines joins other countries shutting borders to Britain due to fears about the highly infectious new coronavirus strain. There's no evidence yet that the new coronavirus variant is deadlier than the previous ones. Rosalie Cos, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Amid the threat of the new coronavirus strain, the Philippine government has imposed a mandatory 2-week quarantine for arriving travelers from the United Kingdom. Aiko Miguel explains why.
Travelers from the United Kingdom who will arrive in the Philippines before the effectivity of the travel ban on December 24 will have to undergo mandatory 14-day quarantine period completion. According to the Department of Health, they have to implement this to assure no new variant of the coronavirus will enter the country. Health Secretary Francisco Duque III also explained, regardless of the result of their RT-PCR test, they have to complete the quarantine period in the new Clark City in Tarlac.
Yung kanilang test kasi pwede rin false negative kung medyo maaga-agang na swab, hindi tayo nakakasiguro. So maigi na yung buuin na natin yung 14 days, baka kasi yung viral load tumaas na lamang bandang huli. that pagka na-detect mo, there will be enough sensitivity to identify the virus.
The DOH, Research Institute for Tropical Medicine, Philippine Genome Center, and UP National Institutes of Health or UPNIH are continuously studying the samples in the country to assure that no variant is the same as the new variant in Europe reportedly more transmissible. The DOH also advises returning overseas Filipino workers that they will not be able to enter the country by 12:01 of December 24 because of the implementation of the travel restriction of inbound travelers from UK. They will have to wait until January until the government decides to ease the travel restriction.
Yung Philippine Genome Center, pinag-aaralan po, susuriin nila itong mga purported new strains. No? I-assess natin muli ang situation in the IATF meeting on the 28th or 29th when we will make a recommendation to the President as to a possible new quarantine, community quarantine status. Sasabay na po namin pag-evaluate. So, yun po yun. Hindi po natin sila mapapapasok pa.
The DOH assures that the new variant of the coronavirus has not yet been detected in the Philippines. Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Meanwhile, the confirmed COVID-19 cases in the Philippines grew to 464,004 after the Department of Health or DOH reported 1,196 new infections today. There were 564 new survivors, which brought the nationwide recovery count to 429,972. However, 27 new fatalities were reported, pushing the death toll to 9,048. Quezon City logged the highest number of new cases with 123, followed by Rizal with 84, the city of Manila with 74, Davao City with 54, and Batangas with 49. The number of active cases stood at 24,984. DOH Secretary Francisco Duque III has renewed his call to the public to follow the minimum health standards during this holiday season to avoid a surge in COVID-19 cases. Two senators are appealing to include several sectors in the priority list of the COVID-19 vaccination program. Harleen Delgado will tell us why.
Senator Francis Pangilinan believes farmers and fisherfolk should be prioritized in the government's free COVID-19 vaccination program. According to the senator, they are also frontliners who work tirelessly to ensure food supply to Filipinos amid the pandemic and the series of typhoons that recently battered several parts of the country. Pangilinan adds, many farmers and fisherfolk in the country belong to the poorest sector in the society. The senator is set to raise this in the upcoming hearing of the Senate Committee of the Whole in January on the government's COVID-19 vaccination plan. The Federation of Free Farmers welcomes this proposal, noting that this highlights and recognizes the importance of farmers. However, its national manager Raul Montemayor admits inoculating the 10 million farmers in the country for free would not be practical, given the limited supply of the vaccine. That is why he suggests that farmers who belong to the vulnerable sector, such as senior citizens and those who have medical conditions, can be included in the prioritization.
Meron po tayong 10 milyong magsasaka at kung uunahin sila baka wala na pong matitira dun sa iba. So I think naman na magkakaroon din ng parang prioritization kung uunahin ang magsasaka, pero hindi dapat asahan ng magsasaka na lahat sila ay mauuna. To be realistic.
Meanwhile, Senator Sherwin Gatchalian is also urging the National Task Force Against COVID-19 to include public school teachers together with school administrators and non-teaching staff in the prioritized groups in the vaccination plan. According to the senator, it is a crucial step in ensuring the safety of school premises and in building confidence for the gradual resumption of face-to-face classes. The Alliance of Concerned Teachers, or ACT, supports the call.
Ang kailangan matiyak natin yung kaligtasan ng ating mga guro, ng ating mga administrators, ng ating mga non-teaching personnel na siyang pangunahin na magtataguyod noong pagbibigay edukasyon sa ating kabataang Pilipino.
The palace has yet to comment on the senator's proposals, but presidential spokesperson Harry Roque earlier said almost 25 million Filipinos will be prioritized, including medical frontliners, senior citizens, and uniformed personnel. Jorlene Delgado, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God. The Armed Forces of the Philippines, or AFP, is continuously preparing for the arrival of COVID-19 vaccines in the country. One system they are looking at is the distribution of election paraphernalia. Dante Amento tells us why.
The Armed Forces of the Philippines, or AFP, will use all its available assets to fast-track the distribution of COVID-19 vaccines across the country once they will be available. AFP Chief of Staff General Gilbert Gapay says they had already drafted a distribution plan, and they are looking at the template how they had been distributing paraphernalia during election period.
We expect most of our equipment, our sea vessels, our naval vessels, our aircraft, helicopters, to include our personnel, to be actively involved in the distribution and transport of the vaccines. We're preparing for it, and there are plans drafted already in the performance of this mission.
The AFP is primarily tasked to provide assistance with the Department of Health for the distribution of vaccines even to those far-flung areas to reach even the marginalized sectors of the society. The AFP stresses that they are ready for this kind of job, just like in different calamities which need immediate response. Meanwhile, the AFP is also on alert for the possible atrocities such as extortion, attacks on military camps by the New People's Army or NPA in connection with their 52nd anniversary on Saturday, December 26.
Our intelligence committee is closely monitoring their actions. They have plans really to conduct atrocities in different parts of the country, particularly yung mga vulnerable, yung mga remote communities natin.
The AFP, on the other hand, assures that they are ready to thwart the threat from this group and advises the public to be vigilant. Dante Amento, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
Philippine Ambassador to the United States, Jose Manuel Romualdez, said the Philippines is not yet ready for the logistical challenges of handling millions of COVID-19 vaccine doses by January 2021. Aiko Miguel explains why.
Health Secretary Francisco Duque III read the content of an interview with Philippine Ambassador to the United States, Jose Manuel Babe Romualdez, where he admits that the country is not yet ready to accept COVID-19 vaccines from Pfizer. According to Secretary Duque, there are a lot of factors to consider before procuring any kind of vaccine. One of this is the cold storage of vaccines.
Nakita natin dito, sinabi mismo ni Ambassador, I'll send this to you, Ambassador Babes Romualdez, sinabi niya, it is okay that we were not able to get Pfizer vaccines after all, no? Because we were not ready to receive them anyway. It takes a lot of logistical work to do all of this. So finally, they were able to realize, hindi pala ito tsokolate na pwede na lang natin padala sa Clark Field at pagkatapos ay doon ay kainin na natin at malamig lang, refrigerator temperature lang pwede, hindi matutunaw yung tsokolate. So, hindi naman po tama ito.
Based on the information of experts, potential vaccines of Moderna and Pfizer should be stored in appropriate temperature. Moderna COVID-19 vaccine require -4 degrees Fahrenheit, while Pfizer COVID-19 vaccines require -94 degrees Fahrenheit or -70 to -80 degrees Celsius. Once they are stored in temperatures above the required temperature, the vaccines can no longer be administered to people. Cold storage for vaccines is one of the challenges being faced now by the government, so they are continuously coordinating with stakeholders. Meanwhile, according to Secretary Duque, they could have tackled the issue within them and could have prevented the drop the ball issue be bigger. Secretary Duque stands firm there is no agreement yet with Pfizer and BioNTech for the supply of 10 million COVID-19 vaccines Philippines in the Philippines. It is also clear in the signed Confidentiality Disclosure Agreement or CDA between Philippine government agencies and Pfizer-BioNTech that it is just an initial agreement to date.
Masakit lang sa akin kasi nga, sana hindi ganun. Sana napag-usapan, di ba? Nagbigay ng sulat, formal, may documentation lahat. Because to me, that's how professional governance works.
Meanwhile, Secretary Duque says, as professionals, he and Foreign Affairs Secretary Locsin to work together for they have the same goal as officials.
We leave it at that. We have too much on our plate. No? We cannot spend our time bickering and trying to, say something to counter somebody's statement. So we just move on. Ang end goal natin, tatlo. No? Achieving herd immunity. Okay. Number 2 is restoring normalcy, economic recovery and normalcy in the lives of our people. And then, of course, to make sure that we will have a sustainable 3 to 5 year immunization program for this particular COVID-19.
Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
For those watching us on YouTube, please click the subscribe button you see on the right side of your screen and ring the bell for notification. You may also follow us on Facebook.
The Department of Justice, or DOJ, said it is ready to place witnesses of the Tarlac shooting under its Witness Protection Program, or WPP. DOJ Secretary Menardo Guevara said those who witnessed the shooting of Sonia Gregorio, 53, and her son Frank Anthony, 25, can seek protection as investigation into the incident is ongoing. Police Senior Master Sergeant Jonel Nuesca was the policeman who shot the two victims in Paniki, Tarlac on Sunday while in the middle of a heated argument over an improvised cannon. The incident was caught on video and went viral on social media. Nuesca is currently facing 2 counts of murder at the Regional Trial Court ng Branch 67 ng Paniki, Tarlac. In other news, prices of several agricultural commodities in Metro Manila markets have gone up. But the Agriculture Department anticipates a decrease of prices of fresh produce by January 2021. Let's find out why from Asher Cadapan Jr. live in Quezon City. Yes, Asher, good evening.
Good evening, Will. Consumers still complain of high prices of vegetables in markets in Metro Manila. The Department of Agriculture noted a significant price increase this month, especially chili, which now costs 4 times than its price a month ago. Other fresh produce which still yield higher price include cabbage, white potato, carrot, pechay bagyo, pechay native, and squash.
Napakamahal ngayon ang bibilhin. Lahat na ay nagtaas almost 3 times na ang presyo. Mag-change sa recipe ka na lang.
Wala po tayong alternative kasi kahit naman po isda, kahit naman po baboy, mahal pa rin. So no choice po tayo.
Agriculture Assistant Secretary Christine Evangelista said this trend is common every year, particularly this season due to low supply of produce. Aside from off-harvest season, the DA said that the vegetable production was affected by the onslaught of subsequent typhoons in the country towards the end of the year.
Unfortunately, during the time that the demand is high because people probably have buying capacity because of Christmas bonuses and everyone is in a festive mood in spite of the pandemic, ito rin yung time na mababa ang ating production ng gulay.
The DA, however, reiterates its commitment in developing a measure to increase the production of fresh produce in this time of the year to ensure its sufficient supply. The government agency also recorded some vegetables that have decreased in prices, including ampalaya, string beans, red onion, tomato, eggplant, and chayote. They also expect other produce to lower their prices by January 2021 as more supply are anticipated every first quarter of the year. Despite the recurring issue, the DA assures the public that they are continuously on the lookout against suppliers or retailers who will take advantage of the price movement. Will?
Yes, thank you, Asher Kadapan Jr. reporting live.
The Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board, or LTFRB, is set to open additional provincial bus routes starting tomorrow. Among the newly opened routes were trips bound for Ilocos Norte. Joanano tells us why.
5 new provincial bus routes are set to open tomorrow, December 24. These are the additional provincial bus routes approved by the LTFRB. Among these are buses bound for Lawag and Pagudpud in Ilocos Norte, stationed at the North Luzon Expressway in Bukawi, Bulacan, as well as NLEX to Baguio City route. Bus routes coming from Baguio City bound for Mariveles, Bataan, and Olongapo, Zambales were also allowed to resume their operations. 440 bus units will operate on the said newly opened routes. This is to accommodate the expected surge of passengers in time for the holiday season. According to LTFRB, roadworthy units will be allowed to resume their operations provided that they have an existing and valid franchise. Each bus unit must also be registered to personal passenger insurance policy. Instead of applying for a special permit, operators must download for a QR code provided in LTFRB's official website, print in a bond paper, and post it in front of the bus unit. Based on LTFRB's data, they have opened several provincial bus routes within different towns in Cavite, Laguna, Pampanga, Bulacan, Batangas, Nueva Ecija, Aklan, Antique, Capiz, Iloilo, Isabela, Cagayan, Leyte, and Samar. There are also some inter-provinces routes that were allowed to resume their operations, such as Davao to Tacloban, Davao to Ormoc, as well as buses coming from Clark, Pampanga that are bound for Dagupan, Pangasinan, and Subic, Zambales.
Insofar as LTFRB is concerned, ang sinasabi na po natin sa ating mga regional directors, because they're the ones on the ground, na magbubukas as many routes as possible. However, they need to coordinate with the LGU's consent.
Earlier this afternoon, passengers traveling to Cavite and Batangas have influx in Parañaque Integrated Terminal Exchange or PITX. However, buses going to Baguio City are yet to resume their trips.
Supposedly, na-expect natin sila mag-start anytime this week. I'm pretty sure that sisimulan nila yan kasi alam naman nila marami sa mga kababayan natin ang gusto magpasyal o mamahinga sa Baguio dahil alam natin maganda yung weather doon.
The authorities again remind the passengers to prepare all the necessary documents required by the LGUs of their target destination in order to avoid delays and inconveniences on their trips. Joanano, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Maynilad is warning its customers against unauthorized agents going door to door to collect payment. The water concessionaire has received reports from customers about individuals visiting their homes, posting as Maynilad employees and asking for payment. Reports also said these alleged employees would threaten customers of having their water supply cut if they do not pay. Maynilad reminds its customers that no individual, not even Maynilad employees and its service providers, are authorized to collect payment. Only authorized channels provided on the water concessionaire's website are allowed to collect payment.
The Social Security system said the scheduled increase in the monthly contribution of members starting next year will ensure the long-term viability of the pension fund and increase the benefits to be enjoyed by them and their beneficiaries. Ray Pelayo explains why.
The Social Security system is set to implement a scheduled increase in contribution rate starting January 2021. Under the Republic Act 11199 or the Social Security Act of 2018, the contribution rate will increase from 12% to 13%. The management said that the law aims to maintain its fund life, which is actuarially estimated to last until 2054. In 2017, the actuarial life decreased by 10% due to the 1,000 peso increase in pension, which was not funded during that time. Aside from the low percentage of collection, the state-run pension also disbursed a huge amount of assistance for its members due to the pandemic and other benefits availed this year. Groups of employers and workers recently appealed to SSS to defer this, arguing the impact of the pandemic to the businesses.
Any delay in the implementation, which is mandated by the law, will seriously, sabi nga natin endanger not only the fund but equally important imperil the SSS ability to provide prompt and much needed financial assistance to its members during this time of pandemic.
For members who are earning 10,000 pesos per month, will have an additional contribution of 100 pesos per month, while 200 pesos for those earning 20,000 pesos a month. It will be shared equally by employers and employee. Those earning more than 20,000 pesos a month will automatically be a member of the Workers' Investment and Savings Program or WISP, on which a portion of the contribution will be deposited to the program. Under the WISP, members are entitled to retirement, total disability and death benefits in addition to the regular SSS program. Ray Pilayo, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Office of Consular Affairs of the Department of Foreign Affairs, or DFA, has advised the public not to negotiate with unknown third parties offering passport appointments assistance in Facebook groups and other social media chat groups. The DFA issued such warning after reports from passport applicants who booked their passport appointment with assistance from unknown individuals online ended up paying more than what the DFA collects for passport issuance. Worse, these applicants were given tampered application forms and incorrect instructions, such as advice to pursue their appointment at a schedule or consular office different from the actual appointment schedule and site. Applicants who have made an appointment with a third party and are doubtful of the authenticity of their application may call the DFA's appointment hotline at 8234-3488 to verify their appointments.
For those watching us on YouTube, please click the subscribe button you see on the right side of your screen and ring the bell for notification. You may also follow us on Facebook.
Social media personality Marlo Arizala, also known as Xander Ford, was arrested in Pasay City on Tuesday night after his former girlfriend filed charges against him for violation of Republic Act 9262, or the Violence Against Women and Their Children Act. Investigation showed that elements of the Moriones police station tracked Arizala down before serving him a warrant of arrest issued by Manila Regional Trial Court, Branch 38 Judge Maria Celestina Cruz Mangrobang at a Korean restaurant in Pasay City at around 7:30 p.m. On June, Isa Cabrejas took to social media to accuse Arizala of physical and sexual abuse during their relationship. Star Image Artist Management said it will continue to support Arizala, its talent and former member of the boy band #5. They said their talent has not aired his side on the issue because they are waiting for a proper forum to address it. They intend to reach out to Cabrejas for a private settlement. The social media personality denied the allegations but asked for forgiveness from his ex-girlfriend. Arizala is now freed after his agency posted the 18,000 peso bail.
And for the news abroad, here's Kath de Maraos reporting live from Bangkok, Thailand.
Good evening, William. What used to be the only continent in the world to be free of COVID-19 has now recorded its first cases after an outbreak hit a highly remote research station in Antarctica. Maeve Dog will tell us why live. Maeve?
Kath, the coronavirus reached Antarctica this week with 36 people infected, 26 of whom are military personnel and 10 civilian contractors who were stationed at the General Bernardo O'Higgins base operated by the Chilean army. They have now been evacuated to Punta Arenas, Chile, where they are being isolated and monitored and are in good condition. The new cases were detected after 2 soldiers fell ill at the research station, only days after 3 positive cases were confirmed on a ship that took supplies and personnel to the research station a few weeks ago. The Chilean army said in a statement that personnel who tested positive for COVID-19 after a nasal swab test were able to be relieved due to timely preventive action. Despite having no permanent residence, around 1,000 researchers and visitors have navigated the continent without incident during winter, according to the British Antarctic Survey. However, a rise in travel to and from the continent in recent months have increased risk of infection. According to the Council of Managers of National Antarctic Programs, the coronavirus would be extremely deadly if left unchecked, especially in an already extreme environment like Antarctica. Kath?
Maeve, what is the impact of these cases in Antarctica given that the continent is very much isolated and is home to the researchers out there?
Kath, research stations in Antarctica have made a great effort in keeping the virus from reaching the continent in recent months by canceling tourism and scaling back activities. However, following the confirmation of the positive cases, all major research projects in Antarctica have now been halted, interrupting research of scientists all over the world in an effort to keep the virus at bay. The station's personnel were also replaced by a new crew who tested negative before their journey. Back to you, Kath.
Thank you, Maeve and Dog, reporting live from Australia. Thailand's Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha has signaled a halt to the easing of travel restrictions and a potential ban on New Year's celebration. This is due to the resurgence of the novel coronavirus cases, which started in a shrimp market in Samut Sakhon province, south of Bangkok, last Saturday. Most of the local cases are linked to the outbreak, and the government has locked down the area to ensure that the virus would not spread even more. The Prime Minister also mentioned that because the COVID-19 cases in other countries are still on the rise, it would risk the safety of the people in Thailand if the country would open to international tourists. Big events and gatherings such as the upcoming New Year celebration are also a concern, and a meeting will be held this week for further announcements. Meanwhile, Dr. Tawisil Pisaniyotin, spokesman for the Center for COVID-19 Situation Administration, or CCSA, announced 39 new local infections plus 7 from quarantine facilities. Thailand has reported a total of 5,762 cases and 4,095 have recovered. 1,607 are still hospitalized, and the death toll is still unchanged at 60. A giant iceberg in the Antarctic region, once part of the 4th largest iceberg on record, has now shattered and is crumbling rapidly. Early Briones will tell us why live. Early?
Kat, the A68A iceberg, which broke off from Antarctica in 2017 and since then has continued to travel to the coast of South Georgia Island, has shattered into fragments. The fragments have begun to drift away from each other and was captured by the European Union Sentinel-1 radar spacecraft. The A68A is a large iceberg with an area of 2,600 square kilometers. This iceberg, along with A68B through to A68E, made up the A68 iceberg, the 4th largest iceberg on record, with a total area of totaling to almost 6,000 square kilometers. The A68D, A68F, and A68E remain close to the large-bodied A68A, and their sizes respectively are 144, 655, and 225 square kilometers. The A68D broke off last week and has significant distance from A68A, while A68F and A68E broke off on Tuesday. Nearly 3 years has passed from when the A68 separated from Larsen C ice shelf, Antarctica, and it has now started to disintegrate, Arjan Lachman of Swansea University said. He also stated that as the A68A is the 4th largest iceberg on record, scientists are needed to continuously observe its movements and status, and with growth in satellite data, it can be used to observe the beginning and end of the A68 iceberg. Along with these details, the A68A iceberg poses a grave threat to the nearby seal and penguin population, as there is potential for it to continue to move into shallow waters, where these marine organisms hunt for fish and krill. Kat?
Early climate change is very alarming in our time right now, and we can see this with the rising of temperatures. Is this the reason for the iceberg breaking down?
Cat, climate change, in fact, has little to do with the shattering of the A68 iceberg. This is a natural occurrence for icebergs. A separation is a way of balancing the iceberg mass when additional snow and ice is gained. And it is also relatively cold where it came apart, so it is not in any way related or associated with high temperatures. Cat.
Thank you, Early, for that report. Scientists have identified a novel deadly skin disease in dolphins linked to climate change. Marvy Dolphin will give us the details live. Marvy?
Kath, the Marine Mammal Center in Sausalito, California, the largest marine mammal hospital in the world, in collaboration with Australian researchers, has made a groundbreaking discovery, as this is the first time that scientists have been able to link a cause to the condition that affects coastal dolphin communities worldwide since the disease first appeared in 2005. The study was driven by the significant outbreaks in the U.S., particularly in Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Florida, and Texas, and also in Australia. Due to the increasing frequency and severity of storm systems brought upon by climate change, the salinity of coastal waters drastically decreases, causing the dolphins to develop patchy and raised skin lesions across their bodies, sometimes covering up to 70% of their skin. The international study was published in the peer-reviewed journal Scientific Reports and was co-authored by 3 internationally respected scientists, 1 from California and 2 from Australia. In Australia, 2 remarkably similar mortality events enabled the creation of a case definition based on pathology and environmental factors. The first affected a community of 60 Baruna dolphins in Gippsland Lakes, Victoria, while the second occurred in the Swan Canning River system here in Western Australia. According to Dr. Nahid Stevens, lead researcher and lecturer in veterinary pathology at Murdoch University, freshwater skin disease or ulcerative dermatitis sucks dolphins dry of their vital nutrients, and the lesions are similar to third-degree burns in humans, paving the way for organ failure and rapid death. Although the climate change problem cannot be solved overnight, the findings can provide scientists with information they need to diagnose and treat suffering dolphins. Kath?
Thank you, Marvy, for that live report. And those are the reasons behind the news here in Thailand and in other parts of the globe. For those watching us on YouTube, please click the subscribe button you see on the right side of your screen and ring the bell for notification. You may also follow us on Facebook. Back to you, William.
Thank you. Kath Dumaraos reporting live from Bangkok, Thailand.
And those are the reasons behind the news, December 23, 2020. I am Hardin Delgado.
Reasons we deliver to you as they unfold. I'm Angelo Castro III.
Because we need to know, we will always ask why. I am William Theo. We serve the people. We give glory to God.